Invincible, Season 2, Episode 6. They left us on a couple cliffhangers last episode. Let's talk about some of the things that actually occurred during this episode. Alright, guys, Brent here, back with the man, the myth, the Marvel, to cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, Star Wars, gaming, and more. This time, Invincible, Season 2, Episode 6. And our boy, not to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, our boy Rex survived. However, we did lose Kate. How we feeling, Will? How we feeling about how this show has played out thus far?
That man got shot in the head, like straight up, like point blank range,
Took it like a G.
like a freaking champ. Like Rex definitely went up on my list as far as characters that I want to kind of keep tabs on. I want to kind of stay around and keep kicking. So pretty much with the cliffhanger, we got left off with what's happening with all the Guardians. All the Guardians are in trouble. All the Guardians are dealing with stuff. The main ones are up in space, kind of handling business. The side
B
characters
team.
are down there freaking trying to handle stuff at like a weapons facility. Thing is, King Lizard got the drop on Rex, blasted him in the head. He survived and then beat the living crap out of King Lizard. Absolutely wonderful. Destroyed hand and all, like it was just the bone. Like he was beating him with his freaking bones, like with no
He
question.
nubbed him to death, literally.
Until he passed out from just straight pain and loss of blood. And the fact is that Ray survived. So that was it. She was kind of messed up. I don't know the extent of her injuries, but she did survive. So that's a good thing there. But everyone else is just obliterated. And the immortal who survived from up top is just really badly shaken up. Like he can't handle it. I don't even think he was really with Kate that long to really have like that type of attachment where he's so broken. Like he's the immortal. Like he's been around for a minute.
It's the one
So
side effect that no one ever talks about when you get immortal. You have to watch your loved ones die. But to watch your loved ones die like this, I think that probably has some effect on it. And it's like, I know it was a side relationship, so we're not going to be as invested in it. But for whatever reason, losing loved ones can have strong effects. And as we're seeing with all the characters, every character here is emotionally invincible. Invincible is once again proving his title is literally just a running gag because he gets beat up on the daily and now he's struggling through relationship issues because like I don't have time for you. I have to go save the world. I have otherworldly responsibilities, and with things playing out the way that it is, it's gonna continue to be this way, and things are only gonna get more complicated. And now that your girl won't even text you, "I miss you," he's in a dangerous spot. Things are going to only continue to get more complicated. Cecil's continuing to monitor everything involving the alien baby, which I guess is fair considering Omni Man and everything we have going on with him. But let the people know. Talk about Omni Man. Talk about his current predicament. There's a lot to break down in that one scene.
Omni Man is locked up. So everybody up top pretty much survived, even though they had a moment with the sequids and stuff like that. So they got back to Earth. They even got the astronaut who's being controlled by him back to Earth. So all good for them. But when he gets back to Earth, he eventually ends up finding these books about that Omni Man had apparently wrote. So it was like, okay, well, how are these connected to Omni Man specifically? What do they mean? And where is Omni Man? So let's go with the latter part first. Omni Man is locked up in a Viltrumite prison. Like he is strung up, and they're getting him back to full health. So I guess that he can defend himself and die in honorable combat, even though his actions weren't honorable. So that's a whole big thing there. Like, what do they mean by that? Like, is he gonna have to go one on one with another Viltrumite, so that's stronger to try and prove himself? They gave him a chance to join back. Is he gonna be back how he was, where he's 1-on-3 and getting bodied? Like, what's the deal?
Like, are they
So
going to Coliseum style this? There's a lot to break down.
yeah, so it's like, what are they going to do with him, and what are their plans overall, and who are the ones guarding? Are they just like their little lapdogs and stuff like that? A planet that they conquered? Like, is it a home world? Is it just like the Viltrumites go and drop these people off here and have these people guarding, and then they leave? Because if that's the case, then that's the end for going to rescue Omni Man if they're going to go rescue him, because if they're not dealing with any Viltrumites, or it's only like one or two that are just there overseeing everything, then they got a better chance, especially with Alan being back bigger, stronger than ever, so that they can come in, grab Omni Man, and deal with one or two Viltrumites that are there and get out. And then because the Viltrumites said, the Earthlings, they did this to you, the Earthlings will pay too, they're eventually going to come to Earth probably in force. They'll probably send a small force like they did before. Like, oh, one can usually handle it, but that's the
They'll
problem.
probably send 3 because
Send three
Mark's
or
there, and
three or
then
four down there to go see what's up and handle business. So they don't like the type that they will waste resources and send a whole armada down there. Let's just send one or two, go handle it and call it a day. So yeah, it's a lot going on in that scene. I don't know how this is all going to play out with Thetis and stuff, because he was the one Viltrumite who went against them and escaped, and he was kind of doing his thing. But now we have the connection with the books because Alan recognized them, and even Mark started to get it. It was like, yo, it's something about this because Dad said something about his books. So he looked at the books. This is going on. These are actual stories, just renamed. So these are just adventures or legends or whatever it is that
his conquests along the way.
he's dealt with along the way, of stuff that he's experienced. But all of these things, each book has something that can be used against the Viltrumites, it seems like. So it's like that particular blaster can be used against the Viltrumites. Something else can be like, these creatures, those red creatures or
Ragnars.
so. Yeah, those can be used against the Viltrumites. Like, so they're gonna probably start gathering all of these things to be used against the Viltrumites and kind of bolster their forces, and stuff's gonna get down to the nitty gritty. And it looks like they're trying to get the squad. They got to get the Guardians back together before all that, because of course the Guardians, they take care of Earth, but they're probably going to be involved, because I'm pretty sure that this Viltrumite thing is not just going to happen on. It's either going to happen back at the Viltrumite homeworld, or it's going to happen on Earth. One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as collateral damage is concerned, that it could go either way.
Oh yeah, especially now that we have basically Alan as well back in the picture, who almost had a near crazy run-in with the Immortal, because the Immortal is processing, and he's processing in the way that some who've had PTSD in the past would probably associate with. Is like they either get married to their work or they abandon their work, and he decided to marry his work, hope that someone he hates shows up, and be able to handle business that way, push through with a fist. And ended up running into a friend who pretended he was the Lord of the Universe, because why not when you're the only one that can speak telepathically in space? So Seth Rogen is going to have his fun as Alan. And with Alan now being like, hey, I kind of have like Saiyan-like powers. I almost died, but now I'm jacked and I'm back and I'm ready to handle business. I'm kind of assembling kind of a force here. So we're going to start building a small little militia and going to go help Thetis like you talked about. So things are going to get more messy and more complicated. Plus the fact that Rex could be now making a move on, what's her name? The redhead. What's
Eve?
her superhero? On Adam Eve. Thank you. And now with, everything going on with Invincible and Mark, he's going to be in that situation where I'm starting to think, because his relationship is falling apart over here, he's going to look in this direction. But it's definitely, in my mind, not going to work. I don't think there is ample fuel for this fire to really ignite. It's just kind of that awkward teen. I'm kind of in a situationship. You're here. You're available. We have some history. Kind of rekindle something that shouldn't be there.
Tony is the only one who's fully read all the Invincible stuff, so the way that I think it's going to go is that eventually Amber and him are going to split, and again he's going to get with Adam Eve at some point, because again they alluded to it too much, as well, that like she can't handle not being with him, because she's got to keep the secret, all that kind of stuff. Stuff doesn't have to be worried about when you're dating another superhero. So it's just like you can freely kind of do whatever. If you got to go, okay, I can go with you. Like we can go to get, like, that's going to make it a lot easier as far as their relationship is concerned. So I think that's going to get built up. I don't even think Rex is going to get going in. I think Adam Eve feels bad for Rex, and she's trying to, look out for him, especially like, yeah, they dated. So it's just like, hey, I'm gonna look out for him. I'm gonna do what I can, but I don't know if she's gonna actually get with him or anything like that. He just seems like he's in la la land. Like he's sorry, he's remorseful for what he did, took him getting shot in the head to do it, so like that. But he feels better. But he's more about his magazines and all the other kind of stuff. Like
his interior design, because he's
he
never really had a
he is
home.
on this and so like that, and I love it for him, so like that, because he's just like, I'm dealing. Obviously is a different approach as to how he's dealing with the trauma. He just had a hand blown off and shot through the head, and a lot of his friends lost, and he's just like, yep. I love this top 10 bedrooms. This is going to be great. Like, he is just.
He's in it. He's happy, and he's where he needs to be. But at best, this relationship will be Batman and Catwoman. At the worst, this is going to be another Joker Harley Quinn, where you just put two toxic individuals together, and things are going to dissolve naturally, as they tend to do in real life. And we've said a lot of things about this episode. We have a lot more coming, especially with Angstrom now popping in to make things even more complicated than they were before. So it's like things are going to get spicy.
That's going to be the Earth factor. So Angstrom is going to be the Earth factor, and then the Viltrumites being handled off-world are going to be the factor. So now you're fighting on two fronts again, like you just did in this episode with dealing with the Sequids and stuff like that. Because not only do you have Angstrom back on Earth, doing stuff, or back in this timeline, I guess, but you also have one of the Sequids had implanted a baby in the astronaut, and he just coughed up that baby when he smelled something funky, and then that baby jumped out and attached to his face. And now the Sequid King is back and probably going to call his Sequids down to take over a bunch of Earthlings. And then guess what? A lot of people are going to get splattered. So,
especially if Angstrom decides to help out for whatever reason, be like, hey, I can make your Sequids come here, make things kind of blow up, you kind of work for me kind of thing, and then the tragic villain double cross that everyone saw coming. But there's a lot of different pieces at play. Either way, Invincible's been hitting out of the park. It's one of the best animated shows out there. Do yourself a service, and if obviously you've been watching this show because you listened to us talk about it for 12 minutes, go ahead, hit that lovely red subscribe button. You clearly have the same kind of taste we do. We cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. And it's been a terrific night for each and every one of you hanging out with us. Any final thoughts as we wrap this episode up?
Look, I just want to see Alan get the scrapping. I'm waiting for it.
Alan is going to throw down like no other, and I can't wait to see more great voice acting done, because the cast in this episode was phenomenal as always. Amazon, you've been treating us to some great comic books. Thank you for being consistent. We'll see you in the next episode.